Welcome to the Los Angeles Tribune page. Here you will find original news programming, exclusive digital events, and shows that are directly from the community. At the Los Angeles Tribune, we believe in giving a voice to the voiceless. We are proud to be the only national brand to empower everyday people to make a difference. Since 1886, our reputation has been built on truth and responsibility. Thank you for watching and making a difference.
For general inquiries, contact today. Thank you on behalf of the Los Angeles Tribune team.
And welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to the Dr. Natalie show here on the Los Angeles Tribune. It's been about 2.5 weeks, I want to say, probably, because remember the last show I did was actually about the situation in Iran. So thank you all for tuning into that. And I think the song is making waves all over. And then following that, of course, there was the Neuroscience Summit. 4 days packed. I know many of you were there. So awesome that you are back today. Today, I have a special show. You have not often seen me invite two guests, but sometimes trouble comes in pairs. So since this is a show about rule breaking, revolution, doing things differently, I figured I might as well invite the whole package because it's going to be a whole lot more fun. But before I get those two gentlemen up here on the screen with me, I met one of them years ago, online, of course. Years ago, I want to say, I don't know how long. I'm a historian, but you know, time flies. So I met him, I followed him. He did some interesting things. I thought, wow, kind of interesting. Talked with him a couple of times, you know, messenger and all of that. And then I lost track, then I moved, and all of a sudden, bam, he was there again. I was like, this is just strange. Why does he keep popping up on my timeline? Well, you know what it is about messages. So I took the message and I reconnected, and boom, yes, trouble comes in pairs. So without any further ado, I will now bring on Mr. Rob Yates, not the person I've been connected to for years, and Mr. David Poole. All right. Hello, gentlemen. How are we doing today?
Fantastic. Thank you, Natalie. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, Dr. Natalie, thank you for asking. No, I'm doing fantastic. And yourself? You good?
I'm good. And I've invited everybody in the audience. Sometimes they actually respond. Sometimes they just listen glued with their pens and pencils to just tell us where they're from. Because today we have a truly international show, right? Everybody knows by now I'm in Hamburg, Germany. Rob, where are you at?
I'm on top of a mountain in South Africa, believe it or not.
Okay, top of a mountain. That means he can look down on all of us. And David, where are you? I just love the city name.
I don't think Rob's the top of a mountain at all. I think he's in like South London in Croydon or something like that. And then you got, but I live in Cognac in France.
I just love the name. I just love the name.
It's a great name.
Yes,
it's a great name. So you're in Hamburg.
Yes, I'm a true hamburger.
When did you move back? Because you spent, was it 26 years in the US?
Thank you for that. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, thank you.
Move on.
Moving on. I moved back a year and a half ago.
That was a compliment to your resilience and your professionalism.
I'll take it as such. I'll take it as such. I don't really care. It's all good. But gentlemen, I connected with you because of something that I saw you two do that I had no idea what it would really be like, what it would mean, or anything like that. And I think, quite honestly, I was mostly attracted by the image. Okay.
Aha.
I sort of like that image. And I like the idea of going beyond illusions. And dramatic pause. I don't want you to talk about that just yet. I would actually have much of a preference if, Rob, could you tell everybody a little bit about you? Just tell us what you do and you know how you got to South Africa. What is your expertise?
So I help awesome people help other awesome people. That's really what I do. And have we just lost David or something? Anyway, I help awesome people be awesome people. And I have been doing that for about 30 years. And I moved to South Africa about 10 or 11 years ago now. I married a South African, and she said she wanted to move home. So we did. And so, I started off in low performance sports coaching, and then moved to high performance sports coaching, and then realized there was more to things than met the eye, and there was more going on between people's ears than people realized. And from there, I moved into the world of training coaches, supporting coaches, helping coaches build their businesses, and helping people in general.
There I am. I am back. That is awesome. So you found the love of your life and you said, okay, whatever you want, dear, we will move to a mountain overlooking the rest of South Africa. Okay.
No, it was a bit. We actually lived in Johannesburg for about 10 years. And Johannesburg is like second to Mexico City when it comes to crime. And I often think that people end up reflecting their environment after a while. There's quite a lot of research out there about that. And I didn't like what Joburg was doing to me. So we bought, I call it a property and David calls it an estate, by the way. So I bought a property, or David says estate, in the Eastern Cape of South Africa. And now I've quite literally got baboons in my garden in front of me as I talk to you.
Okay. That's awesome. I don't know. Is Mexico City that much worse? Because I used to live in Baltimore, which for a long time was the murder capital of the United States. So are we in a competition or not?
I hate the statistics. I think anywhere that looks and sounds and smells dangerous and has got statistics that stay dangerous, move away.
I think we need to bring some positive language into this. So when it comes to Johannesburg being the second worst in the world, can we really say that they've got the silver medal? And
they're winning.
And with Baltimore for the murder capital of the US, they've got the gold medal for this. Let's put a positive slant onto it.
Well, but you, David, you live in a small town and you moved from another big city. So how did you get to where you are now?
Oh, I escaped.
Oh, I lost him. There we go.
You lost me for a second. So yeah, I was living in Derby, which is nobody's ever heard of Derby. So it's next to Nottingham in the UK. And my wife Emily, she's French, and we always knew that we would move to France at some time. And I was working in sales and marketing. Always have been working in sales and marketing. That's my thing. I started selling when I was 8 years old. I was actually pirating video games on the Commodore 64. I'm not quite sure whether I should be declaring that publicly or not. But there you go. That's what it was. And when I met Emily and got into a serious relationship with her and discussing marriage, became married, we always knew with the intent to move to France. And my French isn't fantastic. And if you work in sales and marketing, you really need to be awesome at the language. So I started to look online and created a business that way. And I've been working with instructors, coaches and trainers since about 2007, 2008. They're the people I like to work with. And in particular, I was working with driving instructors, actually, and learn about their business and how they qualify and maintain their sanity and to help them with their marketing up until 2018 when I sold my business and I started working with life coaches. But because I was working online, Emily and I were able to make the transition to come to France, and we chose Cognac because it's not too far from her parents. It's 2.5 hours, and Emily works in exports, and of course, Cognac has a huge export industry. But she didn't work in Cognac at first; she was working in aerospace. But yeah, this is where we are. We came here in 2011, and I love it. It's a beautiful place, and the opportunities that you have here, you go to a city, you go, oh, I want this opportunity and that opportunity. But what Cognac gives you, Natalie, is the opportunity of reflection and living, meeting great people. It really is like a crossroads. A lot of people stay here, but a lot of people pass through as well. So there's a fantastic energy to it, and the city's a town, really. It's 23,000 people. It's 1,000 years old, and some of the buildings aren't really 1,000 years old. I think the oldest is 600 years. So it's an incredible place to live, and it's sunny apart from today, and that's where I am, and I love walking around here. And sometimes my clients come over. Our clients come over rather, and but I try to engage with them from where I live as well, because I made a decision in my life to do something, and actually living in Cognac it's not the center of going beyond the illusion, but it's certainly a part of it. What can you do that's maybe your classmates aged 8 years old or 10 years old might have thought was an extraordinary thing to do? Ooh. And when you're living in Pinxton in Derbyshire, in a mining village, when you're 8 or 10 years old, and if you have a dream of living abroad one day, it's like a fantasy, I suppose. But I don't want to make it true. Sorry, Rob.
It's very funny, David. I had a Facebook message from a guy I was at school with in the dim distance past a little while ago. He's like, I follow you on Facebook, and I'm always so impressed with what you're doing. You're so brave. And it's very funny. I don't consider myself brave. I just consider myself maybe a bit eccentric, maybe somebody who is living beyond the illusion. But I don't consider what I've done, and I haven't done that much, but through the lens that he was looking for, still living in the hometown. His kids go to his old high school. And David's moved 1,000 kilometers. I've moved 10,000 kilometers. And I live in a country where English is the first language. David lives in a country where English isn't the first language, and yet here we are so far apart. You're in Hamburg. We still get to do this TV show. We still all get to make a living. We still all get to help people on scale. And it is genuinely possible to go beyond that illusion.
Absolutely. So the illusion, what is the illusion? Because normally we talk about limitations. Hello, Charlotte.
She's my cousin. She's just come online. I'm just seeing you on here. She's due to give birth. She's due to give birth.
Lisa Marie is also in the house. Okay.
She is. Hey,
yes.
Lisa.
There are a few others. So the illusion. I'm reflecting on the Neuroscience Summit, on life coaching in general. We always talk about stop with your limitations. You need to create unlimited possibilities. Of course, sometimes unlimited can be so unlimited you'll never get there. So when you're thinking about illusion, what is the illusion that you want to go beyond?
Personally or from our business?
That's a really good question. And I'm going to say, what would you like your illusion to be? Because my friend I just spoke about has got an illusion that it's almost impossible to break free of the hometown, right? And that it's big and brave. And but then I've got illusions in front of me. David's got illusions in front of him. Natalie, you've got illusions in front of you. You could call them limited beliefs. You could call them glass ceilings. You could call them all sorts of coachy phrases. But but really we all live within an illusion, and there's one to go beyond. Some people would call it the box that they live in, right? I mean, whatever verbiage you want to use. But I think one of the unique things that David and I do together is help people go beyond their illusion, not the illusion.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, if you ask me the question, David, what's your illusion? I've got many, and I suppose that 99% of the illusions I haven't yet seen, that they exist already, but I haven't yet seen. So as I keep on trying to unlock the one that's in front of me, then I know that others are going to come. It's, you know, it's a part of my journey. And the phrase was I don't know how open-minded your audience are, but it was shared with me. What the phrase was together. I forget this right. I'll forget it. I'll forget the exact phrase. Sorry. But,
wasn't it about seeing beyond the illusion, David?
No, it was to see beyond the illusion, and I'll dig the phrase out for you in a second. And okay. that was channeled to me by my angel, and I was going through this positive transformation at a time, and I was actually thinking about business names, and I was running around with Niche Marketing Hero, which I like, but it's very much from the mindset point of view, and something didn't quite sit with me. I couldn't quite get it. And then when my angel presented blah, 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 to see beyond the illusion, it was, all right, okay, this is about going beyond the illusion, isn't it? And then it was this sort of, I didn't pinpoint it at that time, but this was the time when I was actually stepping out of the mind and into the heart. Okay. So I'd also argue sounds like a very mindful thing there. I'd always lean towards the fact that going beyond the illusion is actually letting go what's up here and coming back into what's in our heart. And as Rob said, we've all got our own different illusions, but I feel that the answers that we are here to seek as individuals are already within us and can be accessed through the heart.
So if I'm hearing you right, the term illusion pretty much would also be what some people, you mentioned it, Rob, call, limitations or beliefs. And of course, we all have them consciously and we all have them subconsciously. So some are, if we're looking at the dichotomy of things, some are positive, some are negatives. So are you helping people move beyond the negative or even further than their positive illusions? How would you state that?
I like to think that the work we do helps people take their positives and turn them into a superpower. To be a superhero in their life and in the lives of others. Yeah. And on that journey, there may well be some negative illusions or beliefs that they need to wander through, let go of, navigate around. But it's not about tackling all of them. You can run against a brick wall and smack your head and really, really badly bruise yourself. Or
been there, done that, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, maybe you could just, if it's only 2 feet high, why not just climb over the top of the damn thing and keep moving forwards? I mean, we don't have to go and do spectrum or gestalt therapy and hypnosis and whatever else to climb over a 2-foot wall. And right. And I think that what we're doing is bringing some of that reality into what we do with the coaches we work with. Mm-hmm. Stepping over a wall is as important as learning how to take down a ginormous wall that really does need all sorts of things. I almost think of illusion like a framework you live in. And as you try to step out of that framework, you're going to hit the boundaries of the framework and then have to decide whether or not you want to stay within your framework or whether you wish to do some work to climb over it, go under it, go through it, whatever it is, that framework.
I really like the phrase framework there, Rob. I mean, for me, I've always seen it a little bit more linear as part of a process. And I don't like using the phrase limiting beliefs because I really feel that a limiting belief or negativity, if you want, is actually part of that journey. And it's just as key as any other part of that. So if we start to recognize that we have a quote unquote limited belief, then that could be our illusion. Well, let's embrace it. Because as soon as we start to recognize it and we can embrace it, then we can start to extrapolate and go, right, okay, so this is where I am. How did I get here? How did this work out? Am I happy here?
Mm-hmm.
You know, or could I make this a happier place? Or where do I want to go from that? I think a lot of people, and I understand why, and I was included in this, oh, you have a limiting belief, and we go, well, that's a bad thing. Well, is it a bad thing? Maybe it was there to save us from something, to stop us from some sort of harm that we couldn't see, whether it was physical or mental. And maybe, and actually, it was a really good thing that we had, but today it's an energy that no longer serves us. So we can try and find a way, and however that way is, of respecting it and thanking it and letting it go, and then bringing in, there's no such thing as space, is there? I can't remember who talks about space, because space is always filled, isn't it, with something.
Dr. Joe Dispenza speaks about it quite a lot in terms of space is filled with energy, not matter.
Yeah.
So it's when I talk about and think about going beyond the illusion, it's never a negative thing for me. It's right, okay, so I might be living in a bit of a shit show right now, but okay, so I've recognized that, and that's okay. What brought me here? And all of a sudden I'm one step forward, but I had to be in that shit show in the first place, so I can actually now have this thought, which can then open up all these doors in front of me. And if I didn't experience this limiting belief or this level of negativity or whatever it was, then how can I see the duality of it? There's two sides to every coin. Keep on bringing me these coins, and sometimes it's the wrong side. Okay, let's look at it. It's there. Let's flip it. So let's embrace that. There you go.
I don't like, language is so important to how our brain works. And I was brought up through my coaching life with this phrase limiting beliefs, and for about the past 10 years I've been trying to delete 20 years worth of verbiage, and I like to talk about beliefs as beliefs, where you have push and pull beliefs, and at different points in time you need to access different push or different pull beliefs. Sometimes you need to challenge them, sometimes you need to embrace them, but they're all just beliefs, right? Whether it has a positive or negative connotation in the here and now, it's just a belief that you hold. And all beliefs have a place within your world for a reason for today. And the choice is really, what do you want to do with those push or pull beliefs as you decide that maybe you want a different illusion from what you have today, maybe.
So what I'm hearing you say then really is part of the idea, as we like to say, you always exactly where you need to be, number one, and that therefore there's really no right or wrong side of the coin, but you are where you need to be. Now let's go from there and move forward, right? Okay. So when we're thinking about moving forward, and we'll come back to the going beyond illusion, you both were successful in what you were doing before going beyond illusions. So the big question, of course, is what triggered you to change trajectories? What was there that made you go, oh my gosh, no more? Or maybe you're doing both or whatever, but what was the trigger? Was, because we always talk about something has to happen for us to wake up. And sometimes it might be teeny tiny. I know David wants to talk. Sometimes it might be teeny tiny, but sometimes it might be huge, like a car accident, right? So what triggered both of you? And I'm going to take myself out so you can just explain what triggered each of you and how you guys met.
Go for it.
He stalked me.
I stalked him.
I should have gone to the police. To quickly answer your question, Natalie, I didn't know it was happening, but the universe was slapping me around a bit with a big wet fish. And the environment that I was in, I was working really hard to make that environment work. and different things were being fired at me from a personal point of view, a business point of view, errors that I made, and just things that were just thrown on me that had nothing to do with me, and I had to deal with it. And in the end, I needed some help. I needed some personal help to help me go beyond the illusion that I was in at that particular time. And Rob had already been stalking me, so I reached out to Rob and I said, "This is how my life looks right now, and I'm a skilled person, and I'm fortunate, and I've worked hard, and here I am. But I think I might have most of the pieces for the puzzle, but not all, and they're certainly not in order. My life's a bit of a mishmash, and I can't see my way forward." And so I was forced to ask for help. And I'm actually not very good at that, because I have this wonderful belief, and it really is a wonderful belief, that I can do anything that I want, and I'll always be able to do it to a standard that I'm happy with. And when you have that sort of mindset, if you will, then it's not that it's difficult to ask for help, because I don't have any difficulties in asking for help. It's just that I didn't ask for help. I wasn't used to asking for help. I stood on my own 2 feet and did my own thing. So I think one of the things was the universe was batting me around the head saying, "David, you know what? This is not right for you, and you've got to work your way out of it. And by doing it, you're going to ask for help." And Rob had already been presented to me on a plate with a dollop of cranberry sauce.
And a cognac, I remember.
More than one cognac. Rob, what about you?
Yes, I mean, we met in Nashville, Tennessee, right? That's where we met. I think that's
obvious place to meet.
Obvious place to me. I flew from Johannesburg. David flew from Cognac, and we both. And there'd been some Facebook chatter beforehand, before this conference, and I worked out that there was another Brit going who equally didn't live in the UK anymore, and lived overseas. And I was like, actually, I've got something in common with this guy. And yeah, so we met briefly on the first day. So, a few days in, we went for a couple of drinks, and we agreed that we'd chat when we got back home. And I don't know, there was something about David that I wanted. I think my words were, "David, I don't know what it is that we can do together, but I believe I've got something to offer you. And if you're ever interested, let's talk." And we spoke. And for a long time, David would refer to me as his coach. And still do. There you go. Well, over a period of time, the coaching became more of a friendship, became more of a quality, I suppose, where David would give me a hand with some things I was focusing on, and I'd give him a hand with some things he was focusing on. And David's a genius at sales and marketing, and I'm all right at it, but I'm not in his standard. And we'd end up trading. And I remember at one point in time, David, you came to South Africa. We jumped in my 4x4 and we went to the Kruger National Park for a week.
Remember that elephant?
Yeah, we almost got the car flipped by an elephant on the first day.
Now this is interesting. This is interesting. Now I want to hear about the elephant. I want to hear about this trip, because I was just talking to my daughter about a safari. So you're going out there.
We'd parked up next to this elephant right at its back end, and I was almost pushing distance. I don't know, it's like 10 yards
10
away,
meters.
10 meters. And it turned around and doesn't like that. So what do? I wind the window up to protect myself.
Right. So you survived, obviously.
Well, kind of.
Yeah. We spent a week driving around the Kruger National Park in South Africa on sort of safari together, part talking about what David was experiencing personally, part talking about where he'd like to take his business world to, and aligning the two things together, David. I think that was the most important thing we did was like, cool, if you want your home life to be as settled as your work life, then let's do this in partnership. Let's not just do one or the other. Had a couple of hard conversations, to the point where at one point in time, David said to me, "We're not talking about this anymore." And then within 4 minutes said, "About what we were just talking about," and brought the topic back up again. But it was interesting in that trip. On the way back home, back to my house in Johannesburg, then David said to me, "You know, we're going to do this together, or we're going to amalgamate things together at some point in time. When do you think?" And I was like, "I honestly don't know." And sure, that was before COVID, so that's a couple of years ago now. And over this period of time, and we've become really good friends. And this summer became the right time to bring these two worlds together.
Yeah, I had to actually go out and stand up for myself again, and that was part of me going through Beyond My Illusion. Right, you got to go and do this, got to create this. You got to go earn some serious cash. So I was doing like 20K a month or something like that. But I have to say to the audience, and we talk about going beyond the illusion, and I told Rob at the time, this is fantastic. This is awesome. I'm delivering a great service to my clients because I can see the transformation with my clients, and it's but something doesn't quite feel right. And I couldn't put my finger on it. And then I was really smashed over the head through spiritual awakening. I don't want to go into the detail because it's not the right place, but somebody from my distant past who was very, very close to me and my first love, I discovered that she passed. And let's just say that she presents herself to me. And I had to let go of the business that I had created. But it was the right thing to do. I took a few months off, and this is where going beyond the illusion didn't start to be made, because I think it started to be made years and years and years and years ago. But this was, want for a better phrase, we call it the New Testament. And it was right. Okay, how can I do this? And I wrote this book, which I can never think of the title, but it's all about making $250,000 a year for coaches. The title's way too long. And I brought coaches into the book, and I said, look, I'm writing this book. Do you want to go in it? And they're going, what's it cost? I'm like, oh, nothing. Don't worry about it. It's fine. I'd love to have you on board. And I got out there like 40 coaches in the book, and we launched it, and it got to #1 in Amazon. I went, wow, David, this is amazing. Can you do another? And then the seeds really started to, there weren't seeds anymore. I started to see the green shoots. And I said to Rob, my business is changing. I'm bringing love into my business. This is definitely not in the mind. This is definitely love. And the way that I'm bringing coaches in for free so that they can be in this best-selling book, so they can share that with their friends and family and inspire people in their own way. There's definite abundance there. Definite abundance. And then I was like, right, okay. What's all this mindset shit that I've been trying to deal with? There's nothing wrong with mindset. It's great. It's a wonderful little compass to have. But I'm focusing all up here. It's like, David, it's not there. Listen to your angel. I mean, she's going, hello, welcome. And I meditate a lot. I took my time. I was walking up and down Cognac and the rivers, and I tried to walk to Spain, but I hurt myself doing that. But I was doing 50 kilometers a day by myself in the middle of the night with a backpack. And I recognized this was about heart set. This is about modifying my life. This really is about me, about my life, and seeing where that goes. And then all of a sudden, all these wonderful people like yourself, Natalie, that's not Rob, it's you, started to ask me questions. And I started to attract people like you because I changed the narrative, right? And it really did go from here to here. And I still have this little play, I won't call it a battle because it's kind of fun. And then lo and behold, we get this off the ground. It goes from books, and the people are saying, David, I need some help with the books. We've now got community. So we've got love, abundance, and community. And I get interviewed by one of my clients, Sharon, and she says, David, you know what I love about you? It's the evolution that you bring. I'm like, oh my God, it's love, abundance, community, and evolution. I'm on the phone to Rob. I'm like, Rob, I really, really, really need you. I'm ready for you right now. And he's going, yeah, but I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this. and then it was not too long ago, Rob's like, yeah, okay. Good. And then we amalgamated things again. So my business model went from books, well, actually went from coaching to books to group coaching. And then because we're coming from the heart and I want to have impact and I want to help my clients to have impact. And I looked at the industry, and I think this might have been one of the trigger points with Rob. You'll have to ask him in a second because I've not really asked him this question, even as my business partner. I said, there's a lot of wonderful business coaches out there, and they are selling on the premise they're selling on the promise of income. And I think income's a wonderful energy, but let's not get it through sales. Let's get it through love, abundance, community, and evolution. So we came up with this concept of what if we can help people create paid communities? So our life coaches who we work with can get remunerated through the work that they do on a massive scale. Mm-hmm. And then they don't have to sell, and people become attracted to them. And our coaches, as you know, are offering their services at $1 a day. And the coaches that we work with go, wow, this is amazing. I can actually start impacting people immediately. And I kind of like, guess that's where we are right now. It's not about income. It is. But the income is a result of the love and the abundance and the evolution that we put out there, and we can reach massive people, a massive amount of people. So rather than saying, hey, Natalie, you're amazing, and you are amazing, and Natalie, you should be charging $30,000 for your services or $40,000 for your services or whatever, it's, Natalie, we know that you can do that, and we know if you want that, that's there for you. But how do you feel about serving 300 people a day or 500 people a day, and they don't even have to pay for a can of Coke for you, a Mars bar for you? And our coaches are going, holy crap, that makes sense. Sorry, that was a bit of a monologue. I just kind of
no, that's
but I enjoyed myself.
Good. That's perfect because I took notes. And Rob took notes too. What we're going to do is we're going to take a teeny tiny 30-second break so we can all have a sip of water. And then I want Rob to talk, but I'm joking. Then I will ask a couple of questions based on what you just said, because there are a number of really interesting things. So stay tuned, everybody.
Welcome to the Los Angeles Tribune page. Here you will find original news programming, exclusive digital events, and shows that are directly from the community. At the Los Angeles Tribune, we believe in giving a voice to the voiceless. We are proud to be the only national brand to empower everyday people to make a difference. Since 1886, our reputation has been built on truth and responsibility. Thank you for watching and making a difference.
For general inquiries, contact today. Thank you on behalf of the Los Angeles Tribune team.
And we're back, and I put David in the green room for 30 seconds. Because I can. I've got the power.
You have the power.
But by the way, Miraz just also send a message. No, I love what Rob was saying, and yes, what David was saying, and yes, I'll bring you back, don't worry. But there were a number of things that I thought were really, really interesting. And I think the audience, the way that I know them, you've said, for example, mindset. And it's one of my trigger words, because whenever I hear the word set, I'm against it, because you're no longer flexible. But we're talking about mindset, everybody does. And then, David, you went to a heart set. And so I was with you until the S started, heart set. I was with you there. But what I think is even more interesting, and Rob, I know you're also very interested in how people think and providing over and over delivering. I mean, both of you do that. for a very low price. And the biggest thing I think always is for coaches, it's the selling. Like if you come from the heart, you want to help somebody find their purpose, you want to help them lose weight, you want to be the best midwife ever, you usually do it out of passion. And you don't necessarily think about, what do I charge? How do I sell? And Rob, you had said you're really not that great of a salesperson compared to David. So what attracted you to the idea of going beyond illusion and doing this love, abundance, and community approach? Because you've also been with big companies.
Yeah, I've been with a couple of more than a couple of very big companies. I think that that now is the time where the coaching industry needs to start marketing it, selling itself as a coaching industry, not as a business industry. Mm-hmm. Everything that coaches believe in really is about some degree of organic, right? About evolution, about growth. And if you want to go and sell some really fancy, expensive package, let's put a number in the sand and say $25,000. Mm-hmm. Firstly, I want to know why, because what do you intend to do with the impact part of your business that you originally started off with as a coach? What do you actually intend to do with that, with all those people who can't afford that amount of money? Question mark. Who actually probably would benefit from your services more than the 25K person? That's just a question. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And the selling of your services is an organic process that needs practice. So David and I were talking the other day, and we do a lot of reflecting on how can we help our coaches in the business be better. And I was like, David, really, what's the amount of money that you'd be happy to go and ask somebody for? Right? Let's go and say, Natalie, could you lend me a quantity of cash? What would that? There's going to be a ceiling to it. Mm-hmm. And lending is different to charging, right? So borrow. Let's say, Natalie, would you lend me $250, right? Probably if that was my ceiling, my illusion, probably I'd be happy to charge you $125 for something, right? And that's cool, right? Okay, so now I've got a benchmark where I could start off comfortably selling and selling with a degree of, I'm not a used car sleazy salesman. I'm actually a coach whose coaching expertise is going to speak for itself.
Right.
And is there a time and place to sell more expensive things? Yes, but learn to sell at $125, or even with our coaches, $1 a day, $31 a month. Learn there, and then listen to your audience, your customers, your clients, and ask them, what is it that you really want next in your evolution, customers? Let me not put my biases and assumptions into this mix as a coach. What I want to coach you, what I believe you should do next. What are you thinking and feeling about what's right for you next? And they'll tell you. And then after that, you can say, cool, well, how much do you want to pay for it? Oh, well, I'd like to pay that much. And fantastic, you've got a group of 300. I just come off a coaching session with a guy who's going to have 1,000 by the end of January. And you've got 1,000 bits of feedback. I said, we'd actually like to do this in this way, and we'd like to roughly this amount of money, a threshold. And you can go to them and say, here you go, folks, this is exactly what you asked for. Let's go play together. And so for me, what brought me into working with David is to be able to actually go and support people to do the right thing, mass impact and scale, where we truly listen to our customers and put our biases to one side, and where coaches actually get to become skilled at selling as they organically grow, as their community grows. They actually get to grow their own ability at the same time. I mean, even in energy terms, David and I spoke the other day. David has spent 2 days doing mostly sales-focused stuff, and I spent 2 days doing mostly one-to-one coaching sessions. We were both equally as kind of not tired, but like a bit fried. And it was both of us identified that the energy involved between selling something and coaching something, they're two remarkably different energies. And then David was identifying before I came in, he almost needed to go to sleep for 2 or 3 hours in between sort of a selling phase and a coaching phase, or vice versa, just to reset his head and regain a new energy. And I'm a hypnotherapist. I've played with this with self-hypnosis. I'm in for an hour to an hour and a half to change the energies through self-hypnosis, right? To switch. And it's awkward. Well, why do you want to put yourself through that? The realities are most coaches aren't in a business partnership. And if it's another outright coach, I'm more of an outright coach who can sell, and David is more of a beautiful sales and marketing person who can coach. I mean, that's sort of our balance. And so we both can do what the other one does. But when I want to talk about selling, I speak to David, and when David wants to talk about coaching, he speaks to me. Do you know what I mean? It's that switch. Most coaches aren't that fortunate, and so they're busy battering themselves the entire time. And I just think if we're going to coach, our whole business life and ethos should revolve around best coaching practice. And we may well talk about flow state. Well, it's a different flow state. And so I just that for me is what makes me want to do this. In fact, I'm actually turning away better paid work to spend more time in going beyond the illusion, to find more coaches. And we've got this workshop on Saturday about psychodynamics and community evolution and like enabling coaches to be better coaches and actually understanding genuine theory base, not some local recent pop culture book that they've read, but actually, Freud's got a lot to offer the world still, as have the Stoics, as has Carl Jung. There's still a lot there that can come in, as has high performance sports that mostly gets ignored by most life coaches. And so, and I'm doing that for free on Saturday. Right. Because it's the right thing to do, Natalie.
And I love that. And I'm reading the title right now. It's how coaches get dramatically increased sustainable transformations for their clients. And then it goes on from there. Okay. But just that phrase, because as coaches, those of us, hi, Goldie. I love Goldie. Those of us who do it because we love it. And I also want to say, there is that coach who does it because they think there's money in it, right? I mean, we always got, a bunch of different ones. But the coach who does it for love really usually does not think about the selling aspect. Yet, just here on social media, what do we see? Make 7 figures in 2 days, write a book in a weekend. I wrote mine in 6 hours, so I don't know what the big deal is, but it's like, all of these, and it's always about focus on sales. Here's a copy for your sale. Here's a copy for your sale. Inundate everybody with emails and social media. Why then bring in Carl Jung, psychodynamics, etc., as well as the expertise of selling? Why does that not work? And why is that so, I'm going to use the term, wrong nowadays?
I want to jump in, but one of the things we talk about is lovability. Right? It's one of the things, in my opinion, that coaches should focus on more and don't focus on enough. Because if you offer somebody a genuinely love-started, lovable coaching experience, if you offer them that, they will not be able to help but tell their friends, family, and everybody else about you and bring their friends and family into that experience that you're providing. But it's got to be lovable by the client's definition. And a lot of those let's say older, and we'll jump into it on Saturday because there's lots of fields that we'll be talking on, but a lot of those older theorists and professionals, even the Stoics who didn't really know what they were writing about, they were just writing good stuff. There's a lot to be taken from there, which is around lovability. It's around, Freud talks about the pleasure related relation of the id, for instance, at the core of our identity. Well, what does pleasure ultimately link to? Love and laughter. And so if we're to help coaches grow, or therapists grow their businesses, we equally need to go beyond just strategy. We actually need to give them the resources to deliver a heightened level of lovable coaching experience so that they get unsolicited referrals. People just arrive in their world because they want more of what their friend has got. And then, well, why do we need to sell after that if people just walk through the door? The problem is we have to do more than just open the door. We have to create a awesome, lovable experience the other side of the door that is the sort of magnet that draws people through into that room where the community is and where the experience is happening. So traditional sales, like it's often taught, and David doesn't do traditional sales, I'll put that out there right now, is very magnetizing in a different way. It's pushing people into experiences that maybe they're ready for or not. And what David does is cuddle people into an experience, and I really like that, because ultimately it's welcome with good sales is welcome with open arms. It's not a shove behind the back to close somebody and get them over the line to secure a scarcity amount of money because you're worried you can only find 100 clients in your coaching career, therefore you have to charge $10,000 a time.
Rob, that's it, isn't it? I mean, you mentioned the word scarcity, and I've been wanting to bring it up. You know, if we're working with coaches, or if anybody's working with coaches, life coaches, do we really want to be working from a position of scarcity? And when we look at a number of business and sales coaches, it's abundant scarcity. It's everywhere, and it really comes from a foundation that is orientated around greed as well. I need this, or rather I want this, and grab and clutch and snatch. And let's just step away from business. I mean, business is we've had this many times, Rob, our business is a reflection of who we are. So our personal lives can reflect our business life, and vice versa. Do we really want to create a business with those, should we call them, qualities? And that, I mean, I came from that. That's what I did. I went out there. I saw marketing as a numbers game. I understood the psychology of people, and it is manipulation. It really, really is manipulation. And for what end goal? To line my pocket. But what am I lining my pocket with? It's not really money, it's energy. But do I really want that type of energy in my pocket? I mean, a good friend of mine, his name is Harpreet Binning. He said to me this last year, David, if I found a £20 note on the floor, I will not put it in my pocket. I will take it to a church or a temple or what have you not, because that money is energy. And I don't know what energy is associated with that. And I think he's absolutely right. So when we go out there to market our businesses, let's do it with love. Let's do it with the best reason. And if we're lucky enough blessed enough to speak with somebody who's interested in joining our services, let's do them the honor of finding out if we can provide what they need. And because if we can't, then why are we taking their money off them? Why are we painting a different picture? Because I don't want that money. And I remember a few months ago, not a particularly nice guy. I didn't realize it at first. He paid me some money for some services. He started to kick up a stink. Not my fault, just his perception, just the way that he was. And I said, there you go. I didn't say I release you, but I felt it. And he was really surprised. Oh, you're giving me the refund? I didn't think you were going to do that. I said, I wish you all the best, but it's I think it's best if we go our ways now. David 4 or 5 years ago would have thought to have clung and hold on to that money, but this is not about money. This is about like the exchange of energy and go back to love and abundance and community and evolution. This is what it's about. So when it comes to helping coaches sell, Rob, you said that, I know the traditional sales. I do, you know. What do they say? Selling ice to the Eskimos or Santa, whoever, and the rest of it. But it's not right. It's not right. It's not right for me. It's okay to know it and understand it, but it's not right for me. It almost feels a bit like the Dark Force with Darth Vader. You know, and it's a bit of a characterization, exaggeration thing going on there, but it feels that way. But if you listen to the person and you try and find out what their journey is, and we have to ask good coaching questions, because sometimes, Natalie, they'll come to Rob and I and they'll say, "Hey, David, hey, Rob, I need clients."
Yeah.
Because that's what they think that they need. Actually, once we ask them some questions and peel back the layers of the onion, sometimes it's not clients that they need at all. They need, maybe they might actually need some life coaching, as opposed to needing clients, a marketing strategy of clients. And that's often usually quickly identified because they've tried 19 different things, spent $35,000 on doing it, and still haven't got anywhere. The strategies that have been shared with them might have been good strategies or didn't align with them. But the thing that they've really needed was something else to allow them to be able to express themselves in a way where they can have a communication with a potential client, where the client can join them. We can only work that out if we have a conversation with them and ask really good questions. If we ask really good questions that are genuine, that put our potential client first, the laws of the universe, if you will open up the doors and say, it's time to work with David and Rob, or it's not yet time to work with David and Rob. And both parties can accept that with peace.
So here's a question, because you just mentioned, releasing or letting go a client, which of course is crucial unless, you want the energy or you really need the money. Very often, I'm looking at the time too, very often when we work with clients, we have to emphasize that we can do everything we can, but in the end, it's still up to the client, and I prefer mentee. So I have to tell my mentees, I can work with you, I can do this, but if you don't implement, I can have the best ideas, I can have the best heart-to-heart, the best questions. How do you address that in the very supportive and amazing community that you two have created?
Easy, I send them to Rob.
Can I jump in? Yeah, he says, here's the thing. There's two things. So if money is energy, and so when money transacts and comes into your business, your job in your business is to deliver more energy back than what it is that you gained, right? So if and this can't just be a website sales promise, it needs to be in reality, right? That's factual. So if you're going to take $25,000 off people and promise them $250,000 a year, you better deliver $500,000 a year, or don't take the money in the first place. Number one, that's just it. The second thing is, I'm going to challenge that the mentee or client must do the work. Right? Because I think that is the most misused thought process in coaching today. You're going to put me on a soapbox, and we've got 2 minutes left, so I'm going to keep this short.
Can I just point out that I love the light behind you, because you have a halo, and I needed to mention it before we end the show.
Okay. So here's the thing. Coaching is at best 50% technical and tactical, what to do. At very best. The other 50% of a coach's job is to ensure the client does the work. Yeah. And so that's coaching, right? So David sends them to me. So we just had a conversation earlier. David said, I wouldn't have got that guy to do this. And I said, yes, but he's taking forward action that he believes is possible. And eventually he'll get to this. It's not the ideal next two steps that as like a strategist we'd suggest, but in terms of his beliefs and how his heart is, for him it's the next thing. That's our job. Our job is to help people to take that step forwards. It's not just to provide the what and the how, it's actually to take the forward momentum.
I love that. Thank you. And now I was going to ask you both individually to give a closing statement. I'm wondering if Rob's already done, but I will still give you the mic. So, David, what is like the main message you would want anybody, whether they're here live now, watching tomorrow, watching on Roku, wherever they'll watch or hear about you, what is the main message that you would like them to get from you today?
Oh, 3 words. You are enough. It doesn't matter who you are, where you are, and what you're doing right now. You are enough. You have the resources. Sometimes you might need a few signposts and things like that, and to pick up a few people along the way. But you are enough. You were born enough. You always will be enough. Don't let anything sway you. Doesn't mean that you shouldn't go out there and not enhance your capabilities in certain areas, because you are enough to go and do that. You are enough. And that's my statement. I don't need to speak about going beyond the illusion, David Poole or anybody else. You are enough. And as soon as you start recognizing that and bringing that into your life, you'll then be able to share that with other people, and we'll make the gradual changes that we can all make in our lives to have a much fruitful living.
Thank you. I'm just talking to my daughter about you are enough. Awesome. Rob, what is your final message?
Follow your heart. Nothing inside of your heart has negative intentions for you. It only has good intentions. Every intention inside of your heart is about abundance. Your heart is actually set up for you to have the financial rewards and the impact rewards and the community rewards that you would like when you choose to follow your heart. The moment that you choose to follow your head is the moment you'll corrupt your inner core values, and you possibly will struggle to have the abundance in your life that you'd like to have.
Okay. Heart and head. Yes, David.
Can I ask you one?
I used to be a teacher, so go for it.
Can I ask you a question, please?
Yeah, go ahead.
What would your closing statement be?
My closing statement would be that we need to connect the heart and the head, because sometimes we need the head or the fear or the questioning in order to make the perfectly aligned forward movement.
Beautiful. I think I'll be very happy to pay $1 a day for that.
Well, thank you. We will see.
It's very nice.
Thank you. Rob, David, thank you both so much. There's so much more to talk about, especially given how you, in my terminology, and Rob was wondering why I use that, in terms of how you revolutionize the coaching business and making it really more of a service, which I personally think is very important. Anybody watching now, later, Going Beyond Illusions, check it out. I can vouch for it. Like personally, if you've got questions, call me, but reach out to both of them as well. And everybody else, I'll be back in 2 weeks. And then I already know I will have a very special guest, and we will bridge the heart and the head next time. More about Neuro Summit and those things. Thank you, everybody. Bye.
Thank you, Natalie.
Bye-bye.